We've got one more question, which was unsigned. So I'm going to ask the unsigned person who asked a question about the monarchy if they would want to stand up and ask a question, or is it something they want to keep quiet? Come on, own up.
Who was it?
Was it? Okay. Well, somebody asked the question, should we keep the monarchy after independence? So I'll give you my views on the matter. Now, I watched over the last 2-3 weeks this amazing parade of people who came on television, BBC, Sky, claiming to know what the late Her Majesty the Queen's mind was on the issue of Scottish independence. I actually watched a lady in Sky the other night say that the Queen had managed her passing at Balmoral to manipulate the case against Scottish independence. And the Sky presenter, instead of asking why she had this amazing insight into Her Majesty's mind, was nodding away. Aye, that'll be right, None of these people had talked to the Queen about it. But if they ever met the Queen at all, it'd be in a line, saying hello, hello, probably very nervously. I probably spoke to the Queen more about Scottish independence for obvious reasons than any living person. I mean, other people met the Queen a lot more than me, but I doubt very much if Gordon Brown spent most of his audiences speaking to her about Scottish independence. I just doubt that. But I did. And certainly everyone at Balmoral, I think every audience, touched on the subject. Now, in 2011, I went to Balmoral and I made a suggestion to Her Majesty the Queen. And I should say that it's no secret I held the Queen in the highest regard. I admired her before I ever met her properly, and I liked her an enormous amount. That's just the way it is, that's true. Anyway, in 2011, I went to Balmoral, and I had a wee idea, you see, so I thought I would ask for her support. And that was, I had noticed that there was an awful lot of royal birthdays. A multiplicity of royal birthdays. More and more. And in a royal birthday, what happened was, in all the Scottish Government buildings, the saltire flew all the time. And on a royal birthday, the Union flag was put up beside the saltire. And the Union flag, we'll have to understand, is a political flag. The Union flag was devised by Scots King, Jaime the Sack, James I, James VI, devised it as a political instrument. They had a competition. Incidentally, you should see some of the other entries in that competition. They were really duff. But he devised it deliberately, originally as a naval flag. It's not actually the Union Jack, it's the Union flag, it should be correctly termed. But originally as a naval flag, hence the Jack, to try and promote this new entity, which he was now king of. Because remember, Scotland was an independent country. England was an independent country. But James VI wanted a bit more than that, hence the Union flag. So it's a political flag. So for obvious reasons, as the nationalist First Minister of Scotland, I wasn't over-entranced by having the Union flag flying outside all the offices of which I was custodian. Except on Remembrance Sunday and Armed Forces Day. Why? Because that's the flag that people fought under. And you have to respect that, in my opinion. But royal birthdays seem to be a bit much. And I mean, there was like 25 of them, and probably a lot more now. So I said to the late Queen, I said, look, I think, given it's a royal celebration, that we should fly the royal standard of Scotland. The line rampant, as people here will know it. And she said, well, First Minister, is the royal standard a popular flag in Scotland? I said, ma'am, it's beloved. Of football fans, of rugby fans, all of whom fly illicitly, but all of whom love flying it. It is beloved, ma'am. And she said, well, that's what we'll do then. And that's what we did. And that's what still happens to this day. Now, some people think, probably my successor incidentally, think this stuff's not important. I think it's enormously important. Incidentally, the Queen's advisors weren't too happy. I can tell you the later correspondence was quite fraught. But she knew what she was doing. And she knew what I was doing. because she was an experienced, intelligent lady. You know, she'd seen every prime minister since Churchill. She wasn't going to get bamboozled by Alex Salmond. You know, so she knew exactly what I was doing, why I was doing it, and she knew exactly what she was doing. You see, unlike all of these commentators who never spoke to her about the issue of Scottish independence, I think it's probably true as Sir Tom Devine, probably the one intelligent person they had commentating on the whole thing. Incidentally, the BBC commentary team, did they know what the Royal Standard was? When the Queen's coffin was draped in the Scottish Royal Standard leaving Balmoral, as you all saw, some English historian says, "What's that big lion?" Well, you can just about forgive him. But the rest of the commentary team, we don't know. They're quickly looking up Google. You know, that's how bad it is. That's how entrenched the ignorance is. But imagine the Queen knew what the Royal Standard was. And she knew what it represented. It was the Royal Standard of Scotland. Because I believe that by, I don't know what, 1977, I wasn't around in 1977. Rob Devine says she thought she was an instinctive unionist. That's probably true. But she was also a very pragmatic woman who moved with the times. When she was a princess, she had every reason to believe she'd become Empress of India. By the end of her reign, she delighted in being head of a Commonwealth, of which only 15 countries have her as head of state. She moved with the times. And I've got absolutely no doubt that if the referendum in 2014 had gone a different way, if Scotland had voted for independence, she'd have spent the last 6 years happily as Queen of Scots. I've got no doubt about that whatsoever. Now, whether you think it's discharging her duty or whether you think, I think she might have liked it, actually. I really do. That's my opinion, but at least it's an informed opinion. It may be, of course, that in her wisdom, and she had seen them come and go, 15 prime ministers, 15 first ministers of various countries. Then maybe, you know, she said, well, I'll just spin this boy Salmond a line. Maybe. I don't think so, though. Because that wasn't what was in her eyes. I think she'd been proud to be Queen of Scots. Now that brings us to where we are now. I think, as Eva rightly says, if we're successful in this enterprise and we establish an independent country, then there'll have to be a written constitution. And people after independence will vote on that constitution. They'll vote to what rights they want to see as a country. And one of the issues in that constitution will obviously be the head of state. And my guess is, if you're establishing an independent country in the 21st century, you don't automatically think it'd be good to have a hereditary head of state. And people say, oh, why was it different? Well, it's different because the Queen was there. And she had been there for 70 years of exemplary service. Times change. And I think in that context, I think Alba have got it right, that our argument will be it's time at that stage for an elected head of state of an independent country.